Welcome to the Farm Matters. Today, we explore the essentials of poultry farming and management, focusing on the design and size of poultry houses, key factors for success in this business. Our journey takes us to Wakiso General Supplies and Hatcheries, located just 3 kilometers from Wakiso town, where we meet Dr. WASWA Michael, a professional and qualified expert in poultry farming. He will guide us on what farmers should consider when constructing a poultry house.
This is Dr. WASWA Michael, care of Wakiso Farm Supplies and General Hatcheries. We are located 3 kilometers from Wakiso town. If you want to reach here in the shortest time possible, when you reach Wakiso town, you tell anybody at Old Centenary or where Centenary Bank used to take you to Dr. WASWA's farm. They will bring you. I'm a chicken or poultry expert. I've been practicing poultry breeding for the last 11 years. I own a diploma in animal production and management and a bachelor's in veterinary medicine. Yeah. Now, concerning how we construct a poultry house, you have to factor in the following factors. You have to get to know which kind of birds are you going to rear. A case in point is that for the case of broilers, they require 1 square feet per bird. For the case of all purposes, like I told you before last time, the purposes that we have is Croiler, Kennebrew, Sasso, Sussex, and Rainbow. Those 5. When you want to rear those for commercial, you have to do 1.5 square feet per bird. Then for the case of layers, we do 2 square feet. Now, if you want to construct a house for, I'm giving an example of 100 birds. For the case of broilers, you make a house of 10 by 10. That's the length times the width. I mean length 10 feet and width 10 feet. For the case of the purposes, you make a 10, that is the width, and 15, that is the length. Then for the case of layers, you make a 10 by 20 feet. That's what I'm meaning by 2, 1.5 and 1 respectively. So besides that, you have to get to know that those birds need a lot of fresh air. Yeah, like any other living organism, they consume oxygen, hence the need for fresh air. Those birds should have air saturation that is good for them to inhale. In other words, when you're constructing a poultry house, just leave 3 feet from the ground, then let the rest of the parts be opened up to the rooftop. If not, you can leave amidst a great area that gives a lot of aeration in case the house is too long. Yeah. Then what you have to consider again is the sides where normally the rainwater enters the poultry house. That side should be closed totally. Yeah, you should close it. Reason being, the more the rainwater goes into the poultry house, the more those birds are prone or subjected to a certain bacteria called E. coli or Escherichia coli, and therefore an infection called colibacillosis. So what you have to do during windy times when it is raining, you have to determine which side allows water entrance into the poultry house and close that side totally, like you're seeing mine here. To my right hand side is closed totally. The rest are open, like you're seeing. Those are the main issues that you have to factor in when you're building the poultry house. Then, if those birds are to be raised up to full maturity, consider constructing a house that will not allow in too much light or very little light. If you allow too much light or very darker places, those birds exhibit what we call cannibalism. They start pecking one another, eating one another, and all the like. And when they are to lay eggs, it means that they will also consume the eggs as part of the cannibalic activities in birds. So to mitigate against cannibalism, you should consider that as well. Then it should be having a floor that can allow these birds to thrive very well, in that you shouldn't leave the area bare ground. Like I explained last time, that when you leave a bare ground area in the poultry house, you will be subjecting those birds to the very bacteria I talked of, the E. coli. That E. coli is readily available in any dirty environments, most especially in soil areas, in the dusty areas. You should avoid such in the poultry house. In other words, you should either apply gravels or seal off using cement. Any of the two can work very well. Then, what you should consider again with the poultry house, it should be the one that can be easily cleaned. In other words, when you are able to remove the litter when it has grown, when it has overstayed in the poultry house, that house should be very easier for you to remove the poo for those birds. One more point is about the wild birds. It should be one that does not allow such small wild birds to enter it. So in other words, you should use the small wire mesh besides other mesh for it to be sealed off totally, for those birds not to gain entry into the poultry house. If you don't do so and they gain that entry, they also predispose birds to a certain protozoan parasite called the Emeria. We have Emeria tenera, Emeria savulina, and Emeria necatrix. They are the etiological agents that causes coccidiosis. So if you allow the poultry house to be one that allows those birds to enter, those small red birds, it means that those birds will defecate inside the poultry house, but in the long run, for them, they are resistant to coccidiosis, and your birds will suffer from the same.
Wakiso Farms specializes in 7 breeds of poultry. However, in Uganda, there are a total of 16 breeds that farmers choose from. Dr. WASWA explains the factors farmers should consider when selecting a breed, and some breeds are more suitable than others.
The breed that you're seeing here is called the Kenibro. We as Wakiso Farm, we own 7 breeds of birds. 5 for dual purposes, 1 for the layers, and 1 for the broilers. But in Uganda, we have 16 breeds of birds, and these follows. For the case of the dual purpose, we have Kenibro, we have Croira, we have Sasso, we have Rainbow, and we have Sussex. Those are the breeds. But let me first categorize. Like I said, we have 3 categories of birds. We have the dual purpose breeds, like I've just counted them. We have the broiler birds, the one who's for meat, and we have the layer birds. In Uganda, I've counted the 5 for the dual purpose, but those are breeds. Then there are what you call sub-breeds or types. Among the Sussex, we have the light Sussex and the speckled Sussex. We as Wakiso Farm, we own the light Sussex. We don't have the speckled Sussex. Then there is the red Sussex. All those we don't have. But in Uganda, light Sussex only exists, and it is only us having it. The rest, even other companies own it, and you will see it. Then, for the case of the Sasso, in Uganda, we have the Sasso Silverlands and the Sasso Naked Neck. We as Wakiso Farm, we own the Sasso Silverlands, but other companies own Sasso Naked Neck as well. The main differences between these two is that Sasso Silverlands has no any naked neck and it is single color. You can call it light red or deep yellow. Then for the case of Sussex, the light Sussex is white but with strips, black strips in the neck and at the tail region. Of course the speckled are dotted and the red are red, meaning the Sussexes. Then lastly, the rainbow are multicolored, but more of red speckled males and purely red females. Then for the case of croilers, they are mostly multicolored and the colors balance, only that they shouldn't have the frizzled feathers, also known as the ancestral in Uganda, and they shouldn't have the naked neck, also known as a single in Uganda. If they possess those two traits and they tell you that they are croilers, it means that those people crossed those birds with locals. They are not purely croilers. Croilers are multicolored, all colors, no naked neck, no frizzled feathers. Then for the case of Kennybro, it is purely deep red, single color, like you're seeing these ones. This is a parent stock for Kennybro. Yeah, that's all about the dual purposes. Then from that, in Uganda, for the case of layers, we have the Novogen, we have the Isa Brown, we have the Higher Line, we have the Decarib White. Yeah, and we as Wakiso Farm, we own Isa Brown. We don't have the rest of the breeds. Then there is Bovanese, and the forgotten Bovanese. It is also breed among the layers. Those are the 5. The main reason that's why that I say that we have 16 in total. We have 5 for layers, 4 for broilers, and 7 for dual purposes, like I counted for you. Then for the case of broilers in Uganda, we have Efficiency Plus, we have Rose 308, we have Cob 700, and we have Cob 500. We as Wakiso Farm, we own Efficiency Plus, and it is the best among all the broilers. Then among all the layers, the best is Novogen in terms of laying or laying percentage. It is followed by Isa Brown. So the breed that we have is second to the best in layers. But when you rank them in terms of disease resistance, of course we have the best in disease resistance. Isa Brown is the best in disease resistance. That is all about the breeds. As Wakiso Farm, we have Isa Brown for layers, Efficiency Plus for broiler, then for dual purpose, Kennybro, Sasso, Silverlands, Croira, Rainbow, and Light Sussex.
He emphasizes that The choice of breed often depends on farmers' goals and urgency to generate income. For example, he recommends dual-purpose breeds and the broiler as they are more resistant to diseases, making them a practical option for many farmers.
So for a farmer to raise birds, that farmer must have the following factors to consider. One, the urgency for the money that farmer may be having. If you need birds that will take just weeks, like 4.5 to 5 weeks, of course you're going for broilers. If you need birds that will give you money, and when I talk of money, I mean a lot of money, but when you have to give a lot of patience to them, then you're going for layers. For them, they start real production at 6 months. When I talk of real production, the Baganda call it yokutaba. But starting the first egg of laying the first egg will start at the 4.5 months. Then, if that person considers to maybe a first-time farmer, I would advise that person to go in for these dual purposes. The reason being, they're a bit more disease resistant compared to the layers and the broilers. Again, among those 5 breeds, like I counted for you in the dual purpose, broiler is the best in disease resistance. Then if you want to raise any dual purpose, you should consider the following. If you want to consider disease resistance, going for broiler. It is followed by light Sussex. Then among the dual purpose, if you want to raise one that will give you a lot of eggs, you will rear the one called light Sussex. It is followed by Sasso naked neck in terms of laying percentage. Then the one that grows faster, Sasso Silverland is the best, followed by Kennybro. Then if you want one that grows bigger or very low feed efficiency, I mean feed conversion ratio, you're going for Kennybro. It grows bigger compared to the rest, followed by Rainbow. Those are the main differences.
Dr. WASWA also sheds light on brooder management, what farmers should consider when preparing a brooder to ensure the health and growth of young chicks.
In preparation to bring birds, one has to consider the following when you want to bring those birds. As in, how do we prepare for a brooder? The main factors is, if the house has been well constructed and it is a new poultry house, that person should spray that house at least 1 week in advance before introduction of those birds. The disinfectants on the market are many, but a few of them have raw mixing rations. A case in point is the Nolokilins, the Dexid, and the Nolokilini. Many more do exist, like we have Ultra Clean, we have BioSafe, we have Omnicare, and many. So you should select one of those disinfectants and spray the poultry house following the manufacturer's prescription. Kind of read on that bottle before spraying, because some of the vet attendants or drug shop attendants normally give the mixing ration for the application in water when you want to disinfect either utensils or allowing birds to take some in times of an outbreak or maybe a viral infection. So you ought to spray that house 1 week before. That's one. 2, you should give it an ample time of allowing that drug should I start to evaporate from the poultry house. In vet we call it residual period. Yeah, we should allow it to be evaporated from the poultry house, since it may also affect the chicks when they are still young. In other words, don't spray today and apply those chicks today. That is very wrong. That can only happen in fully mature birds, but younger birds, no. Then preparing the brooder, you should bring the litter. Mostly the one for the coffee is more suitable, coffee hussicks, and apply it in the poultry house or the brooding area, at least 3 inches from the ground. Let me give for a case in point is that a house of 10 by 10 feet can accommodate up to 5 bags of that coffee hussicks. The main reason as why I gave coffee hussicks is that other litters are a bit dirty and the others are a bit toxic. A case in point is that the one for rice, if not gotten from a well clean environment, birds tend to die a lot when they are still young, because the rice is put under sunshine, most especially in dirty grounds or collected from swampy areas. Then again, for the case of tree hussicks, if not well known, like a pine and eucalyptus trees, some trees are toxic to birds. They may end up dying when they are still young. Then, before applying the birds, you should seal off all the litter or the coffee hussicks that you've put in the poultry house by either using the brooder papers or brooding papers, or you can use old newspapers. There are certain newspapers sold or on market being sold at 4,000 per kilo, and they are clean and well sealed, only that they didn't sell them. They are also good. Yeah, you should seal off all those areas that could allow the coffee hussicks to come on top of the what? On the brooding papers, for it not to expose the other bacteria, the E. coli, to the younger chicks' navel sac or that opening at the belly of the chick, for it not to suffer from colibacillosis in the first 3 to 5 days. During sealing off, make it, if you're using newspapers, apply it in such a way that one should overlap the other, like this. It shouldn't be straight to the other, but overlap and leave a gap and leave no space in between the two newspapers that are neighboring. Then, another thing that you should consider is that you should apply the disinfectant, the very one that you use for spraying, using the same application in the foot bath or in the area of entrance that is constructed at the entrance before entering the poultry house. Reason, you should always be disinfecting your foot. Every worker should always be disinfecting his foot or feet, for him not to predispose the other birds to the very bacteria that comes along with the soily parts in the feet. Yeah, again, you should also apply the heat source at least 3 hours before introducing the chicks in the poultry house, for it, I mean the brooder, to get hot and to supply enough warmth for those chicks on arrival. Apply water before introducing the chicks, but don't apply their feeds there and then. Feeds should come later after birds have taken the water at least for 1 to 2 hours.
The success of poultry farming depends on careful planning, including the design of the poultry house, breed selection, and proper brooder management. With expert guidance, such as that offered by Wakiso Farms, farmers can thrive in the poultry business. Thank you for joining us on Farm Matters. Until next time, keep farming smart and stay tuned.